It's WJZ, Maryland's news station.
Down to the wire, a convicted sex offender accused of snatching a little girl from her bedroom. Now, with time ticking, will lawmakers take action to protect other children?
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Adam May. Less than 24 hours left in the 2010 General Assembly, and tonight, this year's marquee legislation aimed at toughening laws against sex offenders still hangs in the balance. WJZ Live on this story tonight. Derek Valcourt explains why that legislation is still stalled. Derek?
Well, there are some key differences between the House and Senate versions of the bill, and just one day to work out a compromise.
The murder of 11-year-old Sarah Foxwell on the Eastern Shore by a known child sex offender just days before Christmas sparked massive calls for tightening the state's sex offender laws this year. But in Annapolis, there's just one day left in this legislative session, and victims' advocates are frustrated that two key bills still sit in limbo.
They can spend time making sure that cell phone legislation is through, but here we have 90 days and our children are still not protected. It's still not a done deal. They're still playing games.
She's talking about bills that would toughen punishments for second-degree sex offenses against a child. Right now, the mandatory minimum is only 5 years. The Senate's already passed a bill that says the minimum punishment should be 20 years for that crime, with a maximum of life in prison. But under the passed House version, the minimum sentence would be 15 years. Nancy Jacobs sponsored the bill asking for 20 years, but says her colleagues in the Senate will have to compromise.
It's tough. I'd love to see 20. I'd love to see them go away for 20 years with no parole. But that's not in the cards. 15 years is.
Jacobs worries some senators won't agree to the House version of 15 years. Meanwhile, both chambers still need to iron out bills that would make federally required changes to the state's sex offender registry in order to qualify for certain federal funds.
It needs to get done. We shouldn't be doing this at the last hour. This is in the 11th hour. It's not acceptable. And we will remember in November who is the one that made it happen and who were the ones who did not.
There have been some victories, including passage of lifetime supervision for repeat sex offenders released from prison, elimination of credits for good behavior while behind bars, and the criminal rap sheets will now be required to identify people who are on the sex offender registry.
Governor O'Malley tells WJZ he is confident that the sex offender legislation will get done by the end of the day tomorrow. Adam.